A pleasant morning to you, saints. It's been a minute since I did a video recording within the confines of my theological understanding or within the capacity of a clergyman or a man of the cloth. But today, the convenience, conviction, and spiritual sensitivity is in the right place for me to do that. So let's get to it. But to give color and context to what I want to talk about, I want to tell you or remind you that Paul had a legal background and profession, and you could see a lot of legal profundity in his biblical and theological analogy and analysis. And I would like to do the same, copying from the best, though I'll never reach that level. He capitalized or maximized on his background to embellish the excellence in the kingdom of God. And today I would like to draw down from my academic background to impart contemporary wisdom and spiritual acuteness regarding certain things that we encounter in our phases of life. And the title of my message is The 5 Crucial Phases of Life, and this analogy is drawn down from the 5 phases of a thesis or a dissertation. Those who have passed through undergrad, you might understand what I mean. So the first stage of a thesis, and which is also the first stage of life, would be the introduction phase. At this stage, from a thesis point of view, people are setting objectives. People are setting hypotheses or assumptions regarding where they want to go. At this stage, they have a lot of vim, verve, vigor, and energy, and ebullience as well. They think it might be an easy thing. You just have to find some brief background and set assumptions on how the study is going to go, and set objective and think you are going to make it. And I would like to liken this stage to the youthful stage, to the young folks. At this stage, they are so energetic, they are living on assumptions, they think they found new revelation about life, they think they know it all, but it's usually theoretical. And at this stage, you have to know that there is nothing new under the earth. You might think this is a different generation. You are just at an introduction phase. Most of the things that you believe will be tested. So at this stage, we see a lot of youthful indiscretions and so forth, but the dangers of that, you're going to see them in chapter 2, or the phase 2 of life. Phase 2 of life of thesis is called literature review. At this stage, individuals or researchers find books, theories, and empirical evidence to support their hypothesis, their point of view, and their study. And at this stage, they are a bit receptive to information that confirms what they believe, and dismissive to information that is contrary to what they believe. And this is also a youthful stage. I would liken it to a youthful stage where individuals, they are trying to confirm or validate the assumptions that they have about life. They are dismissive to anyone who gives them the uncomfortable truth. They are dismissive to anyone who holds a contrary view, even when it is fact-based. They just dismiss everything that people have to say. They just insist on the subjective rightness of their inexperience in life. And this is a phase of arrogance. This is a phase of pride. This is a phase of I know it all. But life has phases. We are just in phase 2. I'll tell you the dangers of exhibiting such dispositions, but now I want us to go to phase 3. You understand when I conclude why I took you through all these phases. Phase 3 is the methodology. This phase is where we try to apply, to operationalize the variables, where we try to apply our assumptions, our goals, and our hypotheses. We try to put them on real practical grounds. And at this stage, most researchers know that most of the things that they've believed before, the theories, the empirical evidence, the goals, and the assumptions are very wrong. And at this stage, it's the same stage with the midlife crisis, where we meet life usually, sometimes not necessarily midlife crisis, but after college, you start experiencing the real life. You start seeing life as it is, and you are going to see that most of the theories, the assumptions that you had are not correct. And at this stage, it is upon you to either regroup, recalibrate, and restart, go back to square. At least now from a point of wisdom, from a point of understanding, learning from our failures. But you can also decide to just proceed in an erratic manner, but life at this stage starts to humble you. At this stage, life starts to show you that some of those youthful indiscretions, the arrogance, and so forth didn't help you. It's not applicable in real lifetime. And at this stage, this is where most people become wise, because wisdom is accumulated in the lives of those who capitalize on their pain to draw conclusions. So at this stage, when you see that what you believed was not as correct, when you see that your assumptions were not as correct, you start realizing that maybe I need to change. This is where, if you are humble enough, you go back to those who were trying to tell you before and say, I made a mistake, help me to regroup, or at least correct the errors that you would have made. But you can insist in an erratic manner, and still there are consequences to that. So the phase 4 is results and discussion. At this stage, people, after carrying out the study, they give you their results in discussions. And you can argue with the methodology, but you can't argue with the results. It's the results that show you whether you were correct or you were wrong. The results do not lie. You can argue with method, but not with the results. You can say all what you want to say, but when it comes to results, if the results are valid and significant, it shows that the methodology and the prior understanding, assumptions, and goals were feasible and pragmatic and practical. So whether you passed, fail, average, the results are the ones which are going to tell you whether you did it well or you did not do it well. Now the last phase, to those who were arrogant, the results will be humbling them, but they can still proceed. But the results, arrogance is dangerous. You can be wrong, you can be ineffective, you can be unproductive, and still insist that you carry some sort of value, which is not always the case. And the first 5 is the conclusions and recommendations. Now, to someone who failed, he can use that failure to give the right conclusions and recommendations on how erratic some of the dispositions and attitudes are, or learning from their mistakes. But they themselves at this stage, they cannot redeem themselves because it's too late. Imagine someone realizing that they were wrong, the results were wrong at around 60 or 70. It's a bit too late, but you can redeem yourself, but the chances are very few. It will be miraculous. Now, if you did not exceptionally perform, but you just passed, you can give advice now, conclusions, and recommend others on how to improve, on how to be better. But to those who had the right theories, right empirical evidence, right goals, right assumptions, and used the right methodology, when they did exceptionally well, now they are the basis to validate their point of view. These are the people who are wiser, and they can lead other young people. And at this stage, conclusions and recommendations, you have to learn from both crowns and from scars. To those who did it well, you have to learn from how they did it, and you have to learn from the failures of others. But I'll give you a bonus phase, which is called Viva. Some call it Viva. I'm not interested in pronunciation, but VIVA. At this stage, you'll be before a panel of specialists, of experts in the subject of dissertation, where you are defending your work in light of the template that they would have given you. And I make this an equivalent of the judgment day, where we are going to be before God, and where we have to account for our lives, each and every action, before God, using the template of the Bible, of what God expected of us and what we did. In this phase, it's too late to redeem ourselves. You are just going to receive a recompense or a reward to what you would have done during the earth walk. Why did I talk about all these phases? These phases, this message is for young people particularly, because it's an introduction phase. Instead of making a lot of errors, trying everything by yourself, you can simply ask those who have walked this path of life and say, I'm not wise, I don't know anything, I'm inexperienced, can you help me? I'm sure they will certainly help you. And on this journey of life, you have to maintain a humble and a teachable spirit and an inquisitive spirit, because there are always people who are willing to assist. There are always people who are willing to help. But if you embrace arrogance and pride, even God himself cannot help you, because he rebukes the humble, he elbows the humbles. So it's not dumb to ask questions. A person who asks a question for a minute is a fool, but afterwards is forever wise. But the one who never asks a question will always be a fool. And there's a Chinese proverb which says, when a student is ready, a teacher will appear. And when a student is fully ready, a teacher will disappear. What that means is, the universe is structured in such a way that if you maintain a humble spirit, a teachable spirit, and an inquisitive spirit, and you are willing to learn, the universe is structured in a way that you find someone who have already walked down the path that you want to walk. That's how the universe is structured. With this attitude in the right place, you never run out of counsel and advice and guardians who will do it diligently and with the love of God. So if you are ready, if you maintain this spirit, people are going to come. And when these people are done teaching you or guiding you, they will disappear, because now the responsibility will be on you to teach others. And there is a saying also which says, the young folks can walk fast, but the elders know the road. You know, at this young age that we are, we might have a lot of cognitive energies, a lot of physical energies. We think we have speed and so forth, but the elders have walked the road. So instead of insisting on our speed, on our vim, verve, and vigor, we just have to wait on the elders, ask them, what is it that I'm supposed to do in this particular phase? Because what a young man sees while he's standing up, an old person sees. Sorry, what a young person can't see when he's standing up, the elder sees what when they are seated down. So we should maintain a spirit of humility, a spirit of humbleness, and to learn from those who are ahead of us. And that way, you minimize errors that you make. I made a prayer in my life that God, I did a lot of things by trial and error, and I failed. But for each and every stage that I have to reach in life, I know there is nothing new under the earth. There are people who have already walked down this path, strategically position me to be in sync with these people, to meet up with these people. That's how I become better. And with this attitude, you can learn something that others learned in 10 years, and you learned it maybe in 30 minutes, in 1 week. You see, that's the power of humility. And what a young man, if you see a young man who sees beyond his age mates or his peers, you'll be standing on the shoulders of giants. So I hope this teaching has been impactful. It has imparted contemporary wisdom and spiritual acuteness, and it's a pleasure for me again to be in front of the camera doing this for you in the capacity of a clergyman, a man of the cloth, and but sharing my theological understanding. Thank you so much. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you, and bless all other nations. Thank you.